Astăzi vom reacționa la filmări cu cele mai creepy lucruri găsite în mină. Este un videoclip de la Mr. Nightmare, băieți și fete, care se numește Most Disturbing Cave Videos. Hai să vedem care-i treaba, pentru că din câte am înțeles sunt niște descoperiri 100% reale și sunt luate tot de pe YouTube, de la alte videoclipuri pe YouTube, însă Mr. Nightmare nu mai le-a pus aici. Hai să vedem. Uite-vă, prima dată e de la băiatul ăsta, Connor Kelly. Deci el a descoperit asta, fraților, în Nevada, desigur că în America, în McCoy Mine.
The McCoy mine is a silver and gold mine at the
ok, este o mină de argint și aur. Ok, și a venit cu tovarășii lui. Ok, și mamă ce mișto, fraților, ca în Minecraft. Știți că suntem în mesa baia. Uitați-vă, deci a venit cu tovarășii lui aici. Asta vedeți cu tovarășii tăi în mină. Cea mai proastă idee. Au făcut descoperiri șocante aici în mină, frăților nostru. Mamă, ce e asta, bro? Ba, probabil, frate, poate o să găsească lucruri ciudate, dar toate au legătură cu domeniul ăsta.
Get deeper into the cave. Connor notices something reflecting the light of his flashlight. As they get closer, they realize what it is.
Ia, uite acolo, o lumină. Ce-s alea? Bă, alea sunt cumva oase?
It's a pile of shoes.
Aba, nu! Sunt pantofi!
To make it even more disturbing.
Oh my god, bro, what?
It's a pile of children's shoes.
Oh my god. E o adunătură de asta de pantofi de copii.
Mixed in with the shoes are various bones laying in the pile.
Și sunt și oase acolo.
Connor then looks further down the cave and you can see skeletal remains of some type of animal.
Bro, uite și sunt oase și unui animal.
Or deer. The shoes all appear to be older, with 80s styling on a lot of them.
Și că și nu sunt pantofi noi, sunt pantofi gen anii 80.
Obviously, whoever or whatever put them there deliberately made a pile out of them. Connor said they contacted police on the matter, but they didn't seem to take it seriously or care.
A contactat poliția, dar nu le-a păsat la poliție.
Could easily be explained away as the cave being some kind of animal feeding grounds. But the pile of shoes isn't as easily explainable.
Exact, adică bă, oasele în mină mai găsești oase, se mai bat animale, se mai omoară, dar pantofii de copii din anii 80?
There's always the question of if this was a prank to scare people. But this honestly seems like it would take a lot of effort for a prank or
da, și te gândești, bă, poate să fie fake. Cum să fie fake, mine? Au luat oamenii ăștia atâtea perechi de pantofi?
A more disturbing explanation would be that this is or was a dump for abducted kids, where their shoes would be. Și că există o altă explicație că aici ar fi fost răpiți niște copii. For whatever reason and dumped there.
Da, și aici li s-au aruncat pantofii.
As trophies. An example that could be compared to this was in the early 1900s in Walled Lake, Michigan. There was believed to be a sick and cruel man who began murdering kids in the area, and after he would dispose of the bodies, he threw their tiny shoes up into the branches of a tree.
Bro, deși că această teorie este datorită unei legende din 1900 la lacul Michigan, unde era un băiat ăsta care zice că era criminal în serie, omora copii și dacă te omora, spunea pantofii pe un copac.
Eventually the man was caught and people found his tree ornamented with dangling shoes of dead children, almost as if it were one big trophy to him.
Și că el considera asta un trofeu.
This is something similar to that, or just a weird prank that somebody spent way too much time on will probably remain a mystery.
Poate asta e tot ceva de genul sau e un prank, eu nu cred că e un prank.
There aren't many possible explanations for this.
Nu sunt multe explicații. John Edward Jones, The Nutty Patty.
This story will make you uneasy.
Dacă sunteți claustrofobi, aveți grijă.
John Edward Jones, who was a 26-year-old medical student and
oh my god, asta a fost un băiat de 26 de ani, deci a murit.
When he was younger, he explored many caves with his father and his brother. So he
explora mine cu taică-su și cu frate-su.
But one cave proved to be too dangerous even for John.
Ok, și după a explorat o mină foarte periculoasă.
The Nutty Putty Cave.
The Nutty Putty.
This cave was known for its notoriously narrow spaces.
Bro, cum naiba te duci așa acolo?
They were first explored by Dale Green in 1960. The cave is located southwest of Utah Lake and 55 miles from Salt Lake City. John entered Nutty Putty Cave at around 8 p.m. on the evening of November 24th, 2000.
Asta a intrat la ora 8 seara, noiembrie 24, 2009.
A few days before Thanksgiving. John, his 23-year-old brother Josh, and several other friends and family members all decided to explore Nutty Putty Cave as a way to spend time with each other ahead of the holiday. John was married, had a 1-year-old daughter, and was attending medical school in Virginia.
Ok, deci ăsta, na, avea o fiică, acum ne explică viața lui.
Back home to Utah to spend some time with his family for the holiday, making the story all the more tragic.
Și că și el a venit înapoi în Utah pentru că voia să petreacă timp cu familia lui, dar avea o pasiune pentru asta.
Into the Nutty Putty cave, John decided to crawl through a tight passage that he mistakenly thought was known as the birth canal.
Uite, mamă, uitați-vă, deci asta este schema. Băi, dar mina asta, de ce intra în mina asta, ești nebun?
Unfortunately, this passage was way tighter. He inched his way into the narrow passage head first, moving forward using his hips, stomach, and fingers. But within minutes, he realized he'd made a terrible mistake. He knew that he was more or less stuck and had no room to turn around or even wriggle back out the way he came.
Bro, și-a dat seama, fraților, că a fost o mare greșeală că s-a dus pe aici și că a rămas blocat și că nu mai are ce să facă.
He had no choice but to try to press forward. He tried to exhale the...
Ideea era că nu putea să se întoarcă, n-avea loc, fraților. Există mine atâta și trebuie să te bagi acolo. N-avea cum să se întoarcă, așa că trebuia să se ducă înainte.
In his chest so that he could fit through a space that was barely 10 inches across and 8 inches high. But when John inhaled again and his chest puffed back out, he got stuck for good. Josh found his brother, and in a tragic turn of events, as he was pulling at John's calves, John slid further down the shaft. What's worse is that now he was stuck upside down with one hand beneath him and the other wedged above.
Uitați-vă cum era blocat. Bă, dar cine te pune, frate? Uitați-vă, frate, la poza asta.
At this point, the two boys started to pray. Eventually, Josh made it back to the surface to call for help. But even once help came, John was still trapped 400 feet into the cave and 100 feet below the Earth's surface.
Oh my god, deci ideea e că amândoi erau blocați, dar frate a reușit să se întoarcă și să cheme ajutorul, dar asta ci că era prea jos, era la sute de metri sub pământ, dar cine l-a pus?
Getting the people, equipment and supplies down that far took over an hour.
O oră? Păi, dar și n-a putut să reziste o oră? Nu poți să rezisti gen până mori de sete?
Due to John being stuck upside down, time was of the essence. In an upside down position,
oh my god, că-ți vine sângele în cap.
A healthy young person could live for a few hours, but probably not much more.
Deci că dacă stai așa poți să treci câteva ore, dar nu mai mult.
The body is adapted to work with gravity, not against it. Blood flows the way it does with gravity's help. Our organs sit where they are because of how we stand. So John's blood pressure was falling dangerously low, and his organs would start to crush each other if he didn't get out soon.
Mama, frate, organele lui se distrugeau dacă nu ieșea de aici, dar n-a ieșit, nu?
This position would also require the heart to work incredibly hard to continuously pump excess blood out of the brain. The first rescuer to reach John was a woman named Susie Modola. Ok, și
a venit toată lumea și o femeie pe nume Susie Modola a ajuns prima la John.
Who arrived at about 12:30 a.m. on November 25th. At that point, John had been trapped for 3.5 hours.
Era acolo deja de 3 ori jumate.
Susie introduced herself to John, even though all she could see of him was a pair of navy and black running shoes. John said back to her, "Hi Susie, thanks for coming.
Salut Susie, bine că ai mulțumesc că ai venit.
Really want to get out." Over the next 24 hours, more than 100 rescue personnel worked to free John from the depths of the Nutty Putty. The best plan they had
100 de oameni au încercat să scoată.
Was to try to use a system of pulleys and ropes to try to free John from his position. Rescuers tied John with a rope connected to a series of pulleys, causing him to scream in pain due to a lack of blood in his lower body.
Mamă, deși că legau asta, nu mai avea sânge pentru că n-avea sânge în lower body, adică la picioare, pentru că tot sângele s-a dus în cap.
Everything was ready, and they pulled as hard as they could, but suddenly and without warning, one of the pulleys failed. Rescuers believe the pulley came loose at its anchor point in the cave wall. The rope and pulley operation failed, and the rescuers had no other viable plans.
Cei care l-au legat, au încercat să scoată, însă nu s-a funcționat pentru că odaia s-a rupt.
John was trapped.
John era întotdeauna trebuit acolo, dar nu mai avea ce să facă, era mort.
No hope of rescue, and his heart having suffered hours upon hours of strain due to his downward position, John was pronounced dead of cardiac arrest shortly after midnight on the evening of November 25th.
John a fost declarat mort.
A week after John's death, the Nutty Putty cave was sealed off for good. Perhaps the scariest part is that they never recovered his body.
Mamă, niciodată nu i-a luat corpul de acolo, fraților, și a fost închisă mina asta. Niciodată nu i-a luat corpul.
Remains will stay down there forever.
Mamă, și o să stea acolo non-stop, oh my god.
This one, kind of creepy, is also pretty interesting.
Asta este foarte creepy, dar este și foarte interesantă.
A YouTuber by the name of Water Skipper posted a video of exploring a cave in Oregon called the Mallard Cave. On the surface, it looks like a pretty normal cave.
Ok, asta e mina.
Until the bleachers on either side come into view. Now, anyone would wonder what exactly bleachers would be doing in a cave.
Bro, ce-s astea? A fost teatru aici, în mină.
One might assume some kind of secret underground rituals could be going
Ceva
on there.
ritualuri, vă dați
In a
seama.
place as creepy as deep in a cave, these
Dar
would
de ce în mină?
probably be some sick rituals. However, the cave is owned by the Masonic Lodge of Burns. For decades, the Freemason group in Oregon held their meetings in this cave, cleaning and maintaining the area.
Ia
Obviously, a group
vedeți,
holding private
masonii.
meetings in a creepy cave is
Masonii,
going to create bad rumors and conspiracy theories regarding both the Masons and the cave itself. One of those theories claiming that the cave hosted satanic rituals and devil
Și că aici se făceau ritualuri
The cave has
satanice.
been closed off since 2019.
Dar este închisă din 2019. Foarte bine.
Up a gate at the cave entrance in order to stop the vandalism and graffiti that was plaguing the site.
Foarte bine. Kenny Veach.
Kenny Veach is someone I've talked about before, but his story is perhaps one of the more chilling stories having to do with caves. Kenny was a YouTuber and caver who disappeared in 2014 after attempting to explore a cave he nicknamed the M Cave.
Ăsta era un YouTuber care explora mine și a dispărut în 2014 după ce s-a pus să exploreze o mină numită The M Cave.
Which he reported hearing unusual noises from and found
Și că și auzea sunete ciudate de acolo.
was located 6 miles south of a top secret airbase. As he began
Oh, și era localizată la ceva bază secretă gen Area 51.
to enter the cave, he claimed his whole body began to vibrate. The more he
Mamă, ce că când a intrat în mine, îi vibra corpul. Mamă, oare ce se făcea acolo?
went into the cave, the worse the vibrating became. He said he suddenly became very afraid and hightailed it out of there. He uploaded this video to talk about his experience with the cave.
I got to still go over another ridge and then go all the way down a big crevice that's real narrow and gets kind of scary. I'm looking for a cave that I found, and I didn't have a sidearm when I was here before.
Aici explică care e treaba. Bă, și el a murit în 2014 când s-a băgat în cave-ul ăsta. Gen aici explică cum urmează să se ducă în cave.
Something about that cave just spooked me. Out of all the caves I've ever gone in, this one just made my body vibrate. The closer I got to it, the crazier my body felt, and I was like, all right, I'm not going to go in there right now, but I'm coming back someday.
Deci a zis că nu... a explicat ce s-a întâmplat când a intrat în mină. A zis că n-a intrat, dar o să revină. O să vină aici, așa cum a venit. Cu arma, cu tot.
Of course, the internet being what it is, people made fun of him and accused him of making the whole thing up, or at least fabricating the story.
Foarte multă lume a zis că, băi, taci mă din gură, ți-a vibrat corpul când ai intrat în mină, taci din gură.
Basically, Kenny was pressured into going back to the cave a second
Și asta se oftica, era, hai că vă arăt eu.
afraid to enter it the first time. Kenny gave into the pressure and returned to the cave, and he has not been seen since. His phone was found in an abandoned mine entrance, but no body was ever found.
Mamă, deci a fost găsit telefonul la ceva intrare în mină abandonată, dar niciun cadavru.
Kenny was an extremely nice and likable guy, making his disappearance and likely death all the more tragic. People believe that given the close proximity to the airbase, Kenny was actually murdered by the government. Proponents of
Unii zic că Kenny a fost omorât de guvernul american, lucru care se practică acolo în America, repet frate, nu vă duceți niciodată în America, dar a fost omorât pentru că era lângă baza secretă, așa zice.
theory believe that the M cave Kenny discovered was an entrance to some kind of top secret government facility due to its close proximity to Nellis Air Force Base in Area 51. They believe that the vibrating
Era chiar lângă Area 51.
sensation Kenny felt while near the cave was a defense mechanism to keep civilians from entering. Under this same theory, Kenny saw government secrets within the cave and was kidnapped by US soldiers when he emerged.
Asta e
A
teoria.
YouTuber by the name of Abandoned Mines 11 posted a video of what he believes to be the M cave that Kenny described, and it's pretty credible. The cave
Oh my god, uite, și un alt YouTuber a explicat, gen, nu se știe locația exactă M Cave, doar din ce a zis ăla și l-a zis superficial. Și a zis că ăsta și-a dat seama ce e M Cave, a văzut că arăta și semnul M, nu știu ce.
The cave appears to have been walled off and sealed, preventing access inside.
Okay, I made it up here to the entrance of this.
Uite, aici crede, însă zice că au fost puse pietre să nu intri înăuntru.
There's the one side of it, comes down.
Uite, litera M, de aici zice M Cave.
Now, this doesn't look to be very deep at all, and it looks like they were trying to wall it off. There's stacked rocks right there, as well as behind me here, like right there.
The YouTuber finds multiple items on the floor, like planks of wood and a beer bottle with no label, possibly a bottle Kenny was carrying. Most interestingly, he finds an Area 51 warning sign.
Uite, a găsit un semn de la Area 51, a găsit o sticlă de bere, bă.
Actually may back up the theories that this was some kind of entrance to an underground facility owned by the government. But this is all speculation. And what actually happened to Kenny is still unknown.
E doar speculație și de Kenny nu se mai știe, băi și fete. Scrieți la comentarii care vi s-a părut cea mai horror. Mie asta cu Kenny de la final mi-a dat așa fiori pe șirea spinării.